single character in Granblue Fantasy has a skeleton. They have a staple. They are something that synergizes with the cooldowns that they have. Initially, we might think that probably we should be just using the basic regular attacks in combination as combos with the special attacks, and then use the cooldowns whenever you have them available to deal that much more damage. Well, that is not precisely the case how it is going to work. If you want to maximize everything about your character, you have to have in mind the skeleton of the character. And oh boy, Lancelot is one of my favorites, because if you know how to use Lancelot proper, he becomes one of the most highly damaging DPS in the entire roster, while also becoming immortal, because that is the skeleton, that is the staple that Lancelot has. He has high DPS, but also he has iframes, and those iframes, you can be using them to deal much more damage, to dodge the enemy attacks. And one thing that I love about Lancelot is that you can also dodge the special attacks, the unblockable attacks, so to speak, that the enemy has, the area of effect that you would see sometimes laying around the battlefields. Yes, Lancelot can take care of that, provided that you play him proper, because there's also some kind of input delays around here, and that we're going to be discussing right now. But first, let's just begin with the basics. First and foremost, just to clarify once again, the bread and butter of Lancelot is dealing high damaging DPS while also dodging as much things as possible. So initially, ideally, the bread and butter of Lancelot is going to be mashing. He's kind of a mashy button mashy character. You're going to be mashing the basic and special attacks of Lancelot. The basic attack, that's the one, that's the bread and butter, really. That's the one that you are going to be using the most, because it works kind of like you would see the double blades from Monster Hunter. It enters this frenzy of attacks, kind of like a berserker, and that is going to be the most DPS that you are going to have. The problem is that this is going to pinpoint you in one location. That is not good, because the enemy is usually going to be moving quite a lot, but ideally the most DPS that you want to be doing is just by mashing your regular attack to enter the frenzy, the berserker mode, and deal as much DPS as possible. This is especially useful when you are fighting against a monster that is toppled. Also, while fighting against a monster that is frozen, Lancelot has some kind of skills to do to make that work. I will talk about that a little bit later. But also, one thing that you should be doing with Lancelot is that whenever you enter into that burst, that limit break that everyone has like a chain, what you should be doing if you're playing solo, if you're playing PvE without any friends, you should never start this chain yourself, because if you start it yourself, they are going to immediately start triggering it once and once after the other. Opposite, if you let one of the NPCs to trigger it themselves, that means that they are going to wait until the very last moment to see if you trigger it yourself as well, and that gives you a chance to have the enemy toppled to be dealing that much more of that basic damage. But initially, that is going to be your main means of damage, the basic attack, and using that thing. The skill, the special attack, the triangle button attack, that is going to have iframes, and you can also chain it, although you should not have used it, because it does have those little in-between moments where you lose those iframes if you're spamming the button. One thing that I like about it is that it is very fast, but the overall idea is that you are going to be synergizing the basic frenzy attack of Lancelot with the special attack. Have in mind that when you are doing the frenzy attack regular base button for Lancelot, it's going to take quite a bit of a delay when it comes to allowing you to dodge once again with the special attack, so it's not instant. The special attack is never going to cancel the basic regular attack animation of your character, so it is going to take quite a little bit of a delay, and this is why I told you that you really need to learn the character and learn the patterns of the enemies. If you know the patterns of the enemies, if you know the pattern of your character, you're basically invulnerable, because you can read whenever the attack is going to attack you. You should stop some seconds before, some seconds prior that they wind up the attack animation, so that you can tap the special attack button to be able to dodge it and go back immediately to the frenzy attack animation. So that is going to be basically the bread and butter. But you also have these special attacks. Now, these guys right here, they might change with the original version, the launch version of the game, but then again, this should give you an idea on when you should be doing your cooldowns, which ones are the best, which ones are the ones that I think that they synergize the most with Lancelot. There's a couple right here, there's two that I think that they are my favorites and they work amazingly well with this character. There's one that I see much more like a utility kind of thing, and there's one that I just don't see the purpose of using. The Blade Impulse right here. This is a fast launch slash that is chainable into a basic combo. The thing is that this is to close the distance with the enemy. The thing is that Lancelot is a very agile character. Whenever an enemy gets away from you, you should be doing the special attack to pursue that enemy, and usually they are not going to be that far away from you. Although, if the enemy is fast enough, if they do a lightning strike kind of attack that they get away fast, real fast from you, this is the one that you should be doing. You should not be spamming it, because at the end of the day you're going to be dealing that much more damage with your basic regular combo. But whenever you feel that you're not able to keep track of the enemy with the special attack because they are moving too much or they just got far away from you in one single hit, then this is the one that you should be using just to close the distance. So I think that this is one that I would say that it is the utility one. And then we have the Kaltswinga. I do not know how to pronounce this thing. Then we have this attack. This is going to be your crew favorite. Whenever you're playing with your friends, I think that you should synergize how to use this specific attack, and I think that everyone is going to love Lancelot because of this. This guy right here, this freezes the enemy even while they are on overburst. Even while they are like on that frenzy kind of mode, you are going to be able to freeze the enemy. Although this is an attack that I think that you should be calling out to your friends. This is not something that you should be doing ASAP whenever you have it available as a cooldown. You should be keeping an eye on this one, because your friends should be aware when are you going to be using this thing, because this is going to freeze the enemy. You can hold down the button for this one for you to be able to freeze the enemy for a longer period of time. This is especially useful when the enemy is in that frenzy state, because the frenzy state is seconds wise, so you're taking away a little bit of that extra damage that the enraged enemy has. And also, if you call out properly this attack, you could say to your friends, hey guys, I'm going to be using this specific attack. Go all in one. Use your most damaging cooldowns. Use your most damaging combos. If you're far away from the enemy, then get close, because I'm going to freeze the enemy, and this is going to allow us for a big punish on demand whenever you have the cooldown available for this one. Then we have the Lewine Storm. The Lewine Storm. This thing right here. This is the one that I think that it's not useful at all. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're fighting a fire-based monster, or I do not know, something that is weak to water, we still do not know that much about the weaknesses of the enemies and what have you. But this is just basically a regular range attack. You're not going to be using range attacks with Lancelot, because then again, because of the Blade Impulse and because of your special attack, you're always going to be in the face of the enemy. The basic regular attack that you should always be doing like 80% of the time to deal the most DPS, the highest amount of damage with Lancelot, it should always be by being on the face of the enemy. And this is range whenever the enemy is far away from you. I guess that you could use it, but it's not going to deal as much damage as your frenzy attack with Lancelot. And then again, if the enemy gets away from you, then you should either use your special attack to close the distance, or the Blade Impulse to close the distance with that enemy. So this is something that I guess that I wouldn't be using that much myself. And then we have the Turbulence. This is one of my personal favorites. I'm in love with this special attack. This is just so good, so amazing, and it perfectly synergizes with everything that Lancelot is, which is basically a high damaging dealing DPS that is also immortal. And no, this very special attack, it's not going to be dealing that much damage. That is why you should not be spamming your special attack cooldowns, because they have different purposes. This is not going to deal as much damage as your basic regular frenzy attack DPS does. What this thing is going to do is that it is going to give you a huge and tremendous amounts of iframes. So yes, I mean, you have to learn the enemy patterns, you have to learn how to fight against that specific boss, against that specific monster that you are fighting against, but with this special attack, this is basically a free pass. There are some attacks that the enemies have that they take a little bit longer to wind up, so it's kind of tricky to nail down when do you have to use your special attack to be able to dodge that attack. And this is the one that you should be saving for those situations whenever you feel that you haven't completely nailed down how to dodge that one attack. And let me tell you, there are many attacks on this game that one-shot you. This guy is going to allow you to iframe through that attack with a very, very wide, long range of a iframe. It has a huge amount of window for an iframe with this attack, so this is the one that you should be saving for those situations, and it also works as means of getting you out of CC situation. So this is the one that you should be saving, at least for this purposes. You shouldn't be using this guy when you have it available, or just smashing and spamming your cooldowns. This is one of the ones that you should be saving for those special kind of situations. Anyways, this is the first guide of the many that we are going to have for Granblue Fantasy. We're going to be doing a guide for each one of those characters. Of course, many more skills are going to come, so there's much more stuff to come in the way. And also remember to join the Discord. We're going to be playing this game quite a lot in the community Discord, and also like the video. It really helps me. Like, you have no idea, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if no one told you today you're a gorgeous and beautiful person, you are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. I'll see you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people in the next one. Have a beautiful day, goodbye.